His Ford pickup idled 50 yards into the corn. Driver's door swung wide under a pale October sun. Keys dangled from the ignition. A steaming thermos sat on the dash. On the bench seat, a wallet and folded reading glasses, like a man who stepped out for a second and never came back. It was October 1992, Grain County, Kansas. For 26 years, nothing but search maps and rumors, until DNA finally spoke and gave investigators something to chase. Before we unlock this cold case, hit that button, subscribe, ring the bell. Every story here is
darker, deeper.
You don't want to miss the next one. Route and clock. The farmer leaves his farmhouse at 06:15, routine morning start, to check moisture in the back 40. Odometer on the work truck later reads 2.3 mile, the straight-line distance from the house to the corn block where the vehicle is found. Discovery time, 9:47. The truck sits over DeQuap's 50 yards, Eperqual, it says 46 meters down between rows, engine running, driver's door open. That gives an upper window over DeQuap's 212 minutes from departure to discovery on a leg that normally takes less than 10 minutes to drive. Found in the cab. Keys in the ignition, thermos still steaming on the dash, wallet with visible cash and reading glasses neatly folded on the bench. AM radio on a local station mid-song. No forced entry, no broken glass, no blood. The scene reads paused, not abandoned. A tableau of a task interrupted. Perimeter. Neighbor reports the truck wrong for the man he'd known 3 decades, not the type to idle away fuel or leave equipment unattended. Ground near the tires is hardpack from dry weeks, no clear directional prints peeling off the truck. Wind takes sound. The standing corn, Eperqual, 6 feet, swallows sightlines. Sheriff arrives and documents with Polaroids, walking widening circles and calling the farmer's name. Nothing answers but the corn. Early hypotheses from the scene. Medical event, fall toward the creek? Possible given proximity, but no sign of collapse at the truck and no immediate drag struggle indicators in the row gaps. Voluntary walk-off? Wallet, glasses, and an idling engine argue against planned departure. Third-party contact? No second vehicle seen yet, though later photo enhancement will matter, covered in Block 2. For Block 1, the visible contradictions are an efficient farmer's truck left running, personal effects untouched, and a route distance that doesn't justify a 3-hour gap. Anchor. That thermos wasn't left behind. It looked like it was waiting for a hand that never came back. Window. From 6:15 departure to 9:47 discovery, approximate 212 minutes. Driving time is negligible. The practical window for whatever happened is the first hour after departure before word spreads and neighbors begin converging. The lack of debris, prints, or tool marks at the truck pushes the working assumption toward off-vehicle contact, away from the immediate cab area. Contrast, procedure versus life. The sheriff's ledger logs a Polaroid number and odometer reading. Back at the house, a second place at the table will still be set that night out of habit. Hypothesis A, medical event into the creek. The dogs take Harold's scent from the driver's seat and steering wheel and track a straight line through the rows to Willow Creek, then lose it at the water's edge. The creek runs waist deep at the search point with a clear, sandy bottom. Probing and wade checks produce no clothing, no body, no drag path. Regional ME guidance notes that in October temperatures, bodies and moving water typically surface within weeks. Yet months of dragging return nothing. Net, the dog track confirms a walk direction, but no hydrology or recovery data supports a collapse and drift. Hypothesis B, voluntary walk-off. Inside the idling pickup at 9:47, keys in ignition, wallet with cash, folded reading glasses, radio playing, thermos still steaming. No go bag, no note, no cash pull outside routine. By neighbor accounts, Harold is punctual, fuel frugal, and protective of equipment. Leaving a truck to burn fuel unattended contradicts baseline behavior. Net. Property left plus engine running weighs against planned departure. Hypothesis C. Accident elsewhere on the farm. Hard-packed ground from dry weeks yields no clear footwear impressions peeling off the truck. Expanding circle searches through the back 40, wood lot, and fence lines find no blood, no tool drop, no disturbed soil. Odometer shows 2.3 miles from house to the truck's final position, the normal transit distance, so the 3+ hours between 6:15 and 9:47 are unaccounted for. If a fall or machinery injury occurred in row, we expect trace near the cab or along the dog line. The file shows none. Hypothesis D. Staging third-party contact. At first look in 1992, investigators document with Polaroids. No second vehicle call-out is made on scene. Decades later, digital enhancement of those same images resolves secondary tread features near the pickup, consistent with another vehicle in proximity. That, combined with cattle in the wrong pasture, off Harold's rotation, and 2 a.m. headlights seen on the back 40, introduces pre-arrival activity on the property that Harold himself did not log. Net. The paused tableau in the cab, plus later confirmed tire patterns, plus off-routine livestock placement, fit staging better than mishap. Initial observation limits in 92 explain why this wasn't flagged sooner. Communications behavior checks. A 14-minute payphone call, 21:23 the night prior, and reports of uncharacteristic questions about insurance children's schedules show pre-event disruption in Harold's otherwise stable routine, but not a clean line to voluntary flight. Finances are stable, no large withdrawals, no life insurance changes. These anomalies function as stress indicators, not proof of intent. Early lab and scene constraints, 1992. No CCTV on the farm. Scene work is film-based. No usable latent biological trace reported from the cab. Creek search relies on poles and drags. No DNA pathway to a person exists yet. The investigative center of gravity therefore rests on contradictions. Idling engine versus frugal habits, property left versus planned absence, dog line to water versus no water recovery, and, once enhancement is available, second vehicle treads where none were logged in real time. Working conclusion from Block 2. Accident and voluntary walk-off theories both fail on the evidence that should be present but isn't. Water recovery, debris drag, taken essentials. The file's weight shifts to third-party contact with staging, somewhere between truck arrival and creek line, inside an approximate 60-minute practical window before neighbors mobilize. Anchor. The cab didn't look left behind. It looked paused, like a life interrupted mid-song on the AM radio. Contrast, procedure versus life. The ledger lists Polaroid number 6 and an odometer reading. Back at the kitchen table, his reading glasses stay folded beside yesterday's commodity page. Community response and grid. By day 2, October 16, 1992, the sheriff formalizes a sector search. Corn blocks in 50 to 75 meter lanes, fence lines, tree rows, and the Willow Creek corridor. Turnout grows into the largest search in Grain County. Farmhands, church crews, high school teams, mounted riders, and 2 bloodhounds. The dogs take Harold's seat steering scent and run a straight line to the creek, then stall at water. Dragging and bank probes return no body, no clothing, no tool drop. Nightfall ends with 0 scene of violence signatures between the idling Ford and the creek. What the file captures, 1992. Sheriff Clark Works film era. Polaroids of the truck's position, equating plays 46 meter 50 yards into row. Dash bench still life, thermos, wallet plus folded glasses, keys, and tire context. Odometer reading 2.3 miles from house. Radio station log, AM local. Latent biological, none documented as probative. Cab shows no blood, and dry, hard pack around the tires yields no readable footwear. Scene packaging is paper. Property left in the cab is released to the family after inventory. The Polaroids, incident log, and hand-drawn maps become the investigative backbone. Parallel checks. House interview notes. Routine morning, no packed effects. Payphone call, 2123, the night prior. Cattle found off rotation in the wrong pasture. A neighbor recalls 2 a.m. headlights cutting across the back 40. Each item is thin alone. Together, they suggest pre-event disruption rather than a medical collapse. With no CCTV and no second vehicle callout made on scene, the case leans on contradictions and the dog line. Strong on inference, weak on identity. Why it goes cold. Landscape churn works against memory and trace. Harvest moves, winter flood stages lift and drop debris. Creek hydrology returns nothing in the first season. Polaroids fade. Witness recall fragments into rumor. By the first anniversary, the file has exhausted local leads. Theories multiply. Accident, walk-off, unknown vehicle, criminal trespass, none evidenced. 1998, Clark retires and remains an informal consultant. The successor inherits a resource-heavy, result-light missing person file. The box is reshelved more than it is reworked. Preservation and custody. The cold file ends the 1990s with the Polaroids, original reports, search mats, dog handler summaries, creek drag logs, and a thin property ledger. In the 2000s, the office digitizes summary pages. The physical packet remains intact under legacy seals. Family updates taper, then spike when timeline anomalies, payphone, cattle, headlights, are remapped by new staff into a single pre-event window. That reframing is what earns a cold case flag and justifies a return to the creek line with modern methods. Covered next. Anchor. On paper, it's Polaroid numbers and lane widths. In the kitchen, it was Martha folding his glasses at night and laying them by the phone, just in case it rang. Contrast, procedure versus life. The log closes day 2 with no findings at creek, resume AM. Back on the porch, the new yellow bulb Herald installed in spring burns past midnight for a man who didn't walk up the steps. One actually survived. The 1992 file had no probative biology from the cab, but 3 things endured. 1, film Polaroids of the truck's position and tire context. 2, a paper evidence bag labeled cab debris, ash grit lint, that was never fully worked. 3, property released to family, notably the steel thermos and reading glasses, which Martha boxed and kept. When the cold case unit reopens the case, they re-inventory every item, re-photograph seals, and pull elimination buckles from family and first responders before any new testing begins. Chain logs show continuous seals on the cab debris bag. The household items are documented as voluntary returns from next of kin and packaged clean. Scene reanalysis. The Polaroids are scanned at high DPI and run through photogrammetry. Lens distortion corrected. The tread field beside the Ford resolves into 2 distinct patterns. One is the pickup's own, the other shows a narrower track width and a staggered lug all-terrain not typical of Herald's tires. Dimensions go into a tread database, yielding a make-year band used by regional farm service trucks in the early 90s. The tire clue alone can't name a driver, but it converts the paused tableau into a 2-vehicle scene, and it pairs cleanly with the 2 o'clock headlights and cattle off-rotation anomalies from Block 3. Low template biology, 2020s. Cab debris, legacy paper bag. Vacuum microsweep is split, 1/2 archived, 1/2 processed via MVAC wet vac on a sterile membrane. qPCR returns male target present at 14 to 22 pg per microliter. Mini STR adds scattered alleles insufficient for CODIS. Thermos, family kept. Swab of the exterior lid thread and grip ring. Areas a second user would touch. Yields mixed DNA. The major is consistent with Herald, the minor is non-victim male. Reading glasses, nose pads/temples. Predominantly victim DNA as expected. No useful second source signal after elimination comparisons. Given the STR shortfall and single source potential on the MVAC membrane, the lab pivots to SNP profiling on the strongest non-victim extract, cab debris membrane. Library prep is low input, call rate returns 91 to 93%, mean read length 120-150 BP, heterozygosity consistent with a single contributor. The thermos miner is held in reserve as a confirmatory source. Controls and eliminations remain negative. Search tech on the creek. In parallel, the team revisits Willow Creek with side-scan sonar and a magnetometer. Debris fields are mapped. No remains are located, but a boot eyelet and brass rivets surface from a silt pocket within Harold's walk line. Period consistent, not person identifying. It tightens the path to water narrative without changing the identity problem. LE portal uploads and guardrails. The SNP profile is uploaded to GEDmatch Pro and FTDNA LE under Violent Crime Policy, with audit entries for case type, consent basis, opt-in only, and access logs preserved. Within 24 hours, the dashboards show workable matches. Several 3C to 4C relatives shared 60 to 180 Kelmen, and one 2C1R class hit. Cluster analysis points to a common ancestral couple tied to 2 neighboring Kansas counties. Tree build, geography, age/sex. Genealogists triangulate the match cluster to that ancestral pair, then filter the descendants by male, 18 to 45 in 1992, with local employment consistent with farm service/grounds work, the TREAD hint. Public records, voter rolls, city directories, ag service invoices, collapse the living branch to 3 adult males in the right place time. One is verified out of state on the date, a second is deceased before 1992, the third, a farm service hand who routinely drove an all-terrain tire service truck, services properties adjacent to Harold's VAC 40. Deliverable to detectives. The lab returns A. A sourced tree to the MRCA, B. A shortlist worksheet relected the 3 living males, with age/residence/employment columns, C. A TreadLogic memo mapping the Polaroid photogrammetry to all-terrain service vehicles active in 92, and D. A SNP to STR plan. Collect a lawful discard from the shortlisted hand and test against the cab debris SNP source and thermos miner reserve. This shifts the case from genealogical lead to traditional confirmation, which is where Block 5 picks up. Anchor. The thermos wasn't evidence to his wife. It was breakfast, until the lab swab-turned it into a voice that finally said, "Someone else touched this." Contrast. Procedure versus life. Upload logs, call rates, and Kelmen charts go into the case notebook. In the mudroom at home, Martha still keeps that thermos on the top shelf, washed, dried, and facing the way he left it. From lead to target. The tree didn't give a name, it gave a short list. Only one man on it was A. Male, 18 to 45 in 1992, B. Employed as a farm service hand who routinely drove an all-terrain tire service truck, and C. Active on properties adjacent to Harold's VAC 40. Detectives treated genealogy as a lead, not proof, then built a traditional case around access, tires, and DNA. Surveillance and lawful discard. A static team watched his pre-dawn routine for 4 days. Depart reported 0550, fuel stop, service calls. On day 5, they collected a lawfully abandoned drink cup with a visible saliva ridge, sealed it blind, and sent it for STR. Result? A full single-source male profile. Comparison against the cab debris SNP source, Block 4, and the thermos miner mixture both returned concordance. Cab debris, discard STR, full match across all callable loci. Mixture test negative, single source. Thermos miner, mixture, reported suspect STR. Inclusion as the minor contributor with LR as Mortionly Luve-Doloreptic for inclusion versus unrelated. Elimination samples remain negative. A court-ordered buccal swab reproduced the discard STR, closing the loop from genealogy lead, discard, reference, in-case trace. Tires, paper, geography. Photogrammetry from the 1992 Polaroids Block 4 set the non-pickup tread as a staggered lug all-terrain in a make-year pick band used by regional service trucks in the early 90s. A warrant on the suspect's work truck documented an identical pattern and track width. Maintenance invoices and route sheets placed him on the section road behind Harold's place within the practical window. Together, those items turned an inference, 2 vehicles, into access and proximity borne out on paper. Arrest and charging. Arrest occurred at 6:12 on a weekday, curbside, no force. After Miranda, he made only limited statements. Prosecutors built charges around identification, STR match to the cab debris source, buckle confirmation reported as RMP less than 1 in 10 to the 12 across major U.S. pop groups, LR reported in 10 to the 9, same source versus unrelated, access opportunity, farm service employment, documented route sheets, and the tread class geometry match. Corroboration, the thermos minor inclusion and the remapped timeline anomalies, 2-minute headlights, cattle off rotation. The genealogy upload is documented as investigative lead only, LE portal policy, audit logs preserved, not as the standalone basis for probable cause. Anchor. The match didn't break the case with noise. It clicked. And a man who'd always been one field over finally had a name. Technical closeout. What was tested? Cab debris membrane, low template SNP STR target, thermos minor, mixture, discard cup, STR, and confirmatory buccal, STR. Thresholds, snip call rate, 91 to 93%. Discard buccal STR full concordance. Mixture LR thermos minor, instead of 10 to the parky. Primary LR, instead of 10 to the 9th. COC intact on legacy and new seals. Why probable cause was met? Independent STR identification to the in-case source plus documented access and tread consistency, with the genealogical tree serving only to aim the proof. Contrast, procedure versus life. The evidence room closed with a fresh seal and a case number. Back at the farmhouse, Martha set his reading glasses on the phone table one last time and turned the porch light off. Which single detail most undercuts an accident medical collapse theory? The idling engine, the wallet and folded glasses left in the cab, months of zero recovery from Willow Creek, or the second vehicle tread resolved in the Polaroids, and why? With a 6:15 to 9:47 window, and only 2.3 miles from house to the truck, what 2 first-hour actions, specific searches or scene work, would you prioritize to change the outcome? For example, immediate tire casting, photogrammetry grade imaging, grid to the creek bend, or locking the thermos glasses into evidence. Setting genealogy aside, do discard STR buckle matching the cab debris source, plus tread geometry and route sheets placing the suspect behind the back 40, meet your threshold for probable cause. If not, what single additional corroborator would tip it?